Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Dr. Mishkat Al Mumin. I am your brand ambassador with Quarantine Racism. I am also the founder of the Communication of Success, a consultation company dedicated to empowering educators and nonprofit leaders through grant writing. Today, we will be exploring how to amplify and utilize student voices as a leadership tool. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Let's frame the conversation and give it some context. Students are not future leaders. Students are leaders now. Their voices expose blind spots, things that as educators we miss. They also challenge inequalities and push schools towards justice. I want to share a little bit about my background with you, even though it will come up more in the presentation. I grew up under a dictatorship. I studied in schools where if you dared to ask a question or to raise a point or to say something that is not the official version of the daily life that you should be experienced as a citizen, not only you will be executed, but your entire family as well. One of the images that will continue to haunt me, my my dear friend Zahra, um, under the dictatorship of Saddam Hussein regime in Iraq, starting 1979 all the way to 2003. Students were given notebooks and books that had the image of Saddam Hussein. My friend Zahra, who was 80 years old at the time, dared to darken the image. She did not cross the image of Saddam Hussein on her notebook. She felt the image was fading and she just wanted to darken the lines. Zahra was reported to the Secret Service by her teacher, and she was dragged from her hair all the way screaming and yelling to the car that took her from her school, and we never saw her again. So, needless to say, under such an oppressive regime, student voices were completely lost. In fact, as a learner, I was always monitoring myself because I can't say anything that would contradict, that would challenge whatever version of reality the regime wanted us to adhere to. Nevertheless, as a teacher later on, I created a safe space for me and for my student. It was relatively safe because we spoke in code, but nevertheless, it was a place that we both cherished. And I'll be talking about that with you later on. But I wanted to give you some context, not only about the conversation, but about where I come from to engage with you in this conversation. Let's look at some data and see the power of student voices in action. The study that was conducted by the Kuala Institute in 2000 or 2024, it says that 48% of students are more likely to, being academically motivated if they would feel. So, this is the bottom line. They need to feel, they need to believe it within their hearts that their voices matter. Another um, study shows that student led initiative tend to reduce drop up rates and improve belonging. After all, as educators, we want our students to belong to our classes, to be motivated to come to school because they feel heard. Leadership in this context is rooted in listening. Listening leads to building trust. And I just want to stop us a little bit to think about what type of listening are we talking about. I have seen throughout my careers here in the US colleagues who would, either meet with students and talk to them and then go and do whatever it was they wanted to do to begin with. So the conversation, the meeting was just to, complete a process, a check mark on something, and that's it. That resulted in losing trust in such an administration or, academic management. I have also seen colleagues who did not want to have meetings to begin with. So they did not want to listen to students or engage with them in a conversation because they feel or they felt at the time that they know it all, that the student had nothing to contribute to the process. Both scenarios led to mistrust, led to lack of collaboration, and students were completely disengaged. Of course, it ended up being reflected in the results, the academic results and student performance. I want to stop us at a case study from Auckland United School District. Students, leaders fought for restorative justice programs. The difference between what I'm going to call traditional justice and restorative justice is one thing and one thing only. Traditional justice, even when implemented in our schools, it focuses on punishment as a deterrent. Study after study showed that punishment does not lead to compliance, does not improve morale, nor does it improve performance or results. Students want restorative justice in a sense that the action will have consequences, but to amend the situation, we need to restore it to the way it was before the action or the behavior that was not acceptable took place. And usually, these actions will be discussed in a circle. So students would sit amongst themselves in a circle, so there's no head, and engage in a conversation about what had happened in class, what was the behavior that was disturbing, why it took place, and what type of action can we take to correct the situation. So it's not centered, restorative justice is not centered on punishment. It's centered on restoring the situation to what it was before. That type of leadership was initiated by the student. So you can feel and you can say there is some sense of ownership. And that what makes it, or what made it so powerful. Suspension dropped 47% in 5 years. You see, restorative justice programs resulted in creating belonging. When you belong to a place, you are invested in it. You want, the best for it. You also want to contribute. So, that type of justice, that type of addressing behavioral issues leads to improving performance. And by the end of the day, I just want to remind us all that as educators, we are responsible for interrupting, disturbing the pipeline from school to prison. Each time we suspend a student, it means we put that student at risk of entering the justice system. The lesson here, students can lead. And I often say students are our partners in this educational journey. They are not empty vessels waiting on us to fill them with information. They are also not viewers of content. They are not waiting on us to walk them through pages and pages of curriculum. It's true, we will discuss the curriculum, we will cover the activities, but our role as educators is far, far more than that. We are creators, we are designers, we are facilitators of knowledge, we are mentors. We are not someone who would sit and teach students 1 plus 1 equals 2. As important as that is, it's not the entire role of an educator. At least it's not the entire role of the educator in 2025 and beyond. Again, as I told you, part of my story and my classrooms where I learn and where I get my education. The thing is, later on in my career, I became an assistant professor at Baghdad University College of Law, and that's an image of the school right there. I had two options: either to tell the students the truth that they lived in a lawless country where the constitution at the time said no citizen will be tortured, neither physically or mentally, while in reality every single student knew that torture was a daily practice. There was no due process. If anybody would say anything that is not acceptable to the regime, and you have to kind of be not only a mind reader, but someone who can predict, uh, uh, whatever it is in Saddam Hussein's mind. I have seen people disappeared because they laughed at a joke, because they didn't laugh at a joke, because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time and they didn't say a word. They were just there. Bad luck. All these people disappeared and been tortured to death, while as a faculty member, I needed to teach a student constitutional law that says nobody should be tortured. No one should be executed without due process, and so on and so forth. So I needed to find a way that I can tell the truth while keeping my head over my shoulder, as well as keeping the students safe, because they could have been seen as collaborators, and that's not something good. If you would think the regime would not execute 500 students, believe me, they executed, and it's well documented, village after village. So there's no stopping them. What I did was I told the truth, even though I lived under dictatorship and war. My student and I talked and discussed in code. So I would be talking about the apartheid in South Africa. I would be talking about the genocide in Rwanda. There are more than 17 villages, at least to the UN and their documentations, that they were wiped out entirely. Women, children, elderly, men, innocent civilians, you name it. And at the time, the regime used chemical weapons on them. Again, these are not just a statement from me. The Human Rights Watch claimed, and rightfully so, that the darkest period in terms of human rights of the Iraqi nation was under the Saddam Hussein regime. Furthermore, all of these cases about using chemical weapons, attacking civilians, torturing them, well documented in UN reports, including, the Iraq desk study that was conducted by the United Nations Environment Program for 2003. Um, as I said, not only we talked in code, but oftentimes some of my students would follow me and quietly ask a question or quietly ask me to be careful next time, and maybe that statement was too bold. To be honest with you, I was teaching around 2001. The regime was really busy trying to get ready for the war, or the last war they engaged in 2003. And I truly believe, I have no evidence of that, it's just my own belief, that that's the main reason why I lived, so to speak. Otherwise, had this been early 70s, I wouldn't be here with you this evening. Their questions, the students' questions and engagement showed courage. It's not easy to not only trust your teacher in a society where mothers turned on their sons and reported them to the regime. Fathers turned on their sons who escaped military fronts. They didn't want to engage in war, so they ran away, and the father reported them. So to create that community of trust was not an easy task at all. Creating safe spaces, you know, open up students' minds to engage within with the conversation and contribute to it. And later on, students will think about how they can contribute to their communities versus just passing on the official version of whatever legal challenge we were talking about in the law school, and having that be the reality of the students. Can we engage in transformative learning? So, tokenism, when students' councils have no power. Just like, the story I shared with you earlier, when we have meetings, my colleagues used to have meetings with students only to dismiss all the results or to dismiss all the concerns or take them lightly. There's no action following the meeting or the engagement with students. Students' critiques, feedback, observations need to reshape the rules that we adhere to in our classrooms, need to contribute to the curriculum and to the culture of the classroom, of the school itself. You may say to yourself, well, maybe I can change the rule, which is, the first step, but I cannot change the curriculum. Actually, you can. You don't need to wait until someone from the school district would change the curriculum. All you need is to supplement it. You can supplement it with an activity, you can supplement it with a question, with a discussion, with something um, simple but powerful to make the student feel that they were heard. And this way you can change the culture in your classroom or in your school. At the Defense Language Institute, where I taught for more than 11 years, I used multiple tools to capture student voices. Um, I was responsible about a program that usually takes place after the final exam. Even though that program will last sometimes 3, 4 months, perhaps a bit more, there was no student surveys. So the student can sit in the classroom, learn, but there is no feedback, no mechanism. The program is thought to be too short to collect feedback. I designed a survey, and provided to the students anonymously to give us feedback about their experience. I personally learned a lot. I learned a lot about their needs. I learned a lot about what could be done to engage them more, and the conversation continued. Um, I served in many roles, but one of them was department chair. I had an open door policy. If a student wants to see me, all they need to do is to knock on the door. And I had a designated area for discussion within my office so as we can talk and I can listen to them and take notes. At the institute, we had class leaders. So, because it's a military institute, the highest ranking serving member will be the class leader. And I used to meet with them bi-weekly. I would call them all. We will raise issues or allow them to raise issues. If the team or the teaching team has a feedback or something like that, I will convey the message. But the idea was to make them feel heard. I also started something based on some of the feedback they gave me. Let me see if it's here. Yes. So, one student raised a concern. At the Defense Language Institute, we use a protocol to correct answers. And basically, the testing department designed the test and designed the protocol to correct the test or to grade it. Because it's a language, there are many, vocabulary words, both languages evolved. So The test was, designed maybe 10 years ago, and they didn't think of the English equivalent of whatever they were asking about. So students use different, answers to convey the same meaning. Nevertheless, when the test was graded, the teachers and the teaching team, rightfully so, adhered to the protocol. They were so concerned about changing the protocol or, amending it on their own this way, and they felt if they do so, then each test will be graded differently, and there is no, starting line for each student. The line will be changing. The way I addressed it, because I needed to let the student feel that they were heard, I established a committee. The committee included the military instructor, who was responsible for giving feedback to the students on their test, as well as teachers who were certified as oral proficiency testers. They take a lot of training in decoding meaning, as well as evaluating, student language. So, and I allowed each student to go and present their case to that committee. If the committee decided to give them the point, we'll do it. If the committee denied the point, that is the final decision. Of course, not all students got their points, but all students felt heard. I have a couple of strategies for leaders, educators who are engaged on daily basis with the students. Ask with intention. Don't ask for their feedback if you are planning on ignoring it. Again, it's not about checking a box, it's about following through. Impact. Make students' contributions visible. Each time students in my department contributed something, whether it was a newsletter in target language or whether it was a skit, I would put, a printout of it on my door. So any person who's coming to see me as a department chair, they would see the contribution of the students. Protect honesty. So as a teacher, I used to stop my class 5 or 7 minutes before the end of the hour. And I would tell the students, please give me feedback on my performance. I would not take it to heart. I will not retaliate. I will not hurt you. I will always emphasize that part deeply. Then they would start to give me feedback. Some of them would say, we would like more visual aid. Some would say, we want less visual aid and more discussion. Believe it or not, I tailored to their needs, and I was grateful for their feedback. This process created trust. They knew that they could come and tell me whatever it is that was hindering their learning, and they knew that they could count on my help. One of the projects that I initiated was students as teachers. So I wanted to share the stage with them, not all the time, having them be the students, being on the receiving end of the information. They can teach too. And believe me, they really were wonderful teachers. They would submit their lessons plans to their mentors. The mentors would review them, and then they will conduct the hour, and the teacher would observe the hour. I myself went and observed some. The results were really amazing. Students help faculty members with technology tools, tools that they can use to convey learning and convey messages more powerfully. Teachers, as mentors, they helped students not only learn the language, but also learn the culture. I also want to share some of the resources with you if you'd like to transform your classroom. So at Quarantine Racism, we have several courses that we've built to, help teachers create an inclusive learning environment where all voices are heard and harmonious learning environment is being created. The course is not for free. It's priced at 297. I would encourage you to ask your school administrator to buy it for you. If your school does not have money to buy courses, please get in touch with me. I will help you and your school write a grant to purchase the course or to promote any other initiative, learning initiative, or programs like restorative justice in classrooms. I'll be more than happy to do that. And just to let you know, I charge per grant, not per hour. So I can spend 10 hours on writing a grant. Nevertheless, I would, submit to you a flat fee, which is more reasonable than charging per hourly rate. I have some free resources for you if you are interested. You can connect with me on my YouTube channel. It's called The Communication of Success. The videos address challenging workplaces and provide you with tools and strategies to overcome these challenges. This can be very helpful for a principal, assistant principal, or even a teacher dealing with classroom issues. On my Substack, I provide also free tools and strategies to help teachers, educators, leaders address challenges that they may be facing in their workplaces or in their classrooms. Every Sunday, I publish an article on LinkedIn designed to explore an educational concept and how to reflect and act on that concept. So please feel free to connect with me. I really hope that you would think of these as platforms, as tools, and use them. I also want to give our students some strategies to make their voices heard. One is to use their platform. Each school, each classroom has a platform. Students groups, ideas for class, school committees. Your story as a learner has power, and it's on you to tell that story. I have to borrow Dr. Campbell the words. He's the founder of Quarantine Racism and the CEO of it. He told me, tell your story. If you don't tell your story, the Lord will send someone else to tell it, and then it won't be your story. So I'd like to share these words for you because they have power. Build alliances. Who thinks like you? Who is concerned about the same things you are concerned about? When they raise something, amplify it. Not simply by saying, "Well, I think that way too." No, by saying, "I think that way too because, and here is what we can do as a class." So always be part of the solution, but also amplify the message. So next time when you are speaking, the person you supported will support you. We talked a little bit about speaking in solutions. Believe it or not, everyone knows the problem, but not everyone has a solution. Your voice as a learner is very powerful to when it comes to suggesting a solution. So use it. Again, protect one another, which is the same as building alliances. If I, as a learner, feel like my classroom would support me, or maybe five, classmates would support me, I would be inclined to speak up more. But if I feel the minute I open my mouth, everyone will criticize me or make fun of me, of course I won't speak. So protect one another by creating a safe space for you all to address issues and, you know, bring them to light as the first step of working on resolving them. Or impact, whether you use the class chat, whether you write one page about it, whether you create a newsletter, a class newsletter, you develop a project, whatever it is, you need to document it, because one day you will be asked, what did you do about it? And the answer needs to be ready. If you want to do more as a leader and you need funding, also as a student, if you would excuse me 1 second. Thank you. My apologies. I have some websites for you. So, one website is called donorchoice.org. This platform is designed to help teachers fund their classrooms, whether they need extra books, whether they need materials, snack for the classroom. That's the place to go. Of course, you need to register and create an account, and then you can start funding your classroom. Here, I'd like to share a little bit about my expertise in grant writing and fundraising. I raised more than $70 million for programs in post war Iraq, post 2003. I also raised 150 in 1 year for environmental and STEM equity for women and girls. Last year, I secured 46K in under 9 months, also for STEM education. Um, if you want to build a culture of trust, you need to expand that concept, and you are short in funding. Again, I'll be more than happy to help you write a grant. And we can turn trust into programs. We can, cultivate student voices together and give them the opportunities they deserve as learners and partners in our educational uh, um, classrooms. The closing message that I have for you here: student voices are not a decoration, they really matter. They are the compass for equity, truth, trust, and leadership. Our work as educators is to listen deeply. Again, take notes, paraphrase, act on what you've heard. Otherwise, honestly, students would feel like they were dismissed. Lead with integrity, build structures that honor their voices. And by the way, I don't mean structures like you need to turn the school upside down or your class need to change dramatically. Structure can mean one simple thing, ask for their input and acknowledge it. If you feel like you cannot ask them face to face, I used to give my teams, I used to tell them, here is a paper. There are two questions on it. Please answer them and put the answer in my mailbox. I didn't want to use technology here because oftentimes, there is this assumption that even if it's anonymous, I would know or I will be able to track it. So I said to myself, here is a piece of paper. It has two questions. What would you like to see more of me as a leader? What would you like to see less of me as a leader? They all answered the questions and put it in my mailbox. You can use something as simple as that. It doesn't need to be dramatic or a massive change, so to speak. I would be more than happy to continue the conversation on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Substack. So please connect with me and let's explore this conversation more. I believe that's the end of my talk. I'm here to listen to you. If you have any questions, even if you think of a question later on, please feel free to reach out through LinkedIn, Substack, YouTube, whichever platform you feel more comfortable using. And I'll be more than happy to learn from your experience and further help you achieve your leadership or academic goals. Thank you again, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to be with you this evening.